Welcome to NCAA Week 5. Josh and I are here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and so this is our overseas perspective on how things went in Week 4, as well as how we think they're going to go in Week 5. Let's look at Week 4 first and talk about what happened. First, we had Auburn play Kansas State. We expected Auburn to win it.
We did, yes.
And they did.
They did win it. It was a lot closer than I anticipated it being. But I think that's just giving credit to Kansas State putting up a good show.
Yeah.
Auburn did win in the end. It was pretty low scoring, 20-14, which isn't very typical for an Auburn team,
Sure.
which kind of shows Auburn's offense can be stopped.
Well, and it was a good road win for Auburn. I mean, if you're a dominant team, you want to win on the road,
Right.
and so that's important. Kansas State is not a pushover, so they did a good job. Florida and Alabama, that was sort of an anticipated game to see how the two teams really looked. My first take on it, the first half, how sloppy could Alabama possibly
It was
get?
3 fumbles and just a pretty bad showing.
One
both
of the
offensively and
sloppiest,
defensively.
particularly offensively, which is amazing. Alabama still put up 21 points. Sims threw a couple really long passes, and he had a tremendous game statistically.
Amari Cooper still being amazing.
Yeah. And so Alabama had its moments, but then they had those moments of sloppiness that
So what I've noticed with Alabama so far this season is they've been very much a second half team.
For sure.
Which
That's
right
good.
now it's
That's a
okay.
good
It's
thing.
okay right now. But
That's
I'm
true.
saying when you go against teams like Texas A&M and Auburn,
You don't want to
and
play
they're
catch-up
gonna-
ball.
They're gonna get that lead on you quickly if you're not gonna come in there and play quick football. So Alabama's gonna have to figure out a couple problems there and see if they can fix it.
Well, and as far as a statement for the Gators, there really was no statement. They're really in a bad situation.
They still
because
are. There's no
even
comeback.
Even
They're
with
still a
all
bad
of
team.
Alabama's mistakes and all the mess ups that they made, they still dominated the game ultimately. And so, what can we say? Mississippi State at LSU. Wow.
This is showing that the SEC can just implode itself.
Yeah.
It's like even teams like Mississippi State are coming in and beating teams that we all thought were top team material.
Yes.
Like LSU. Mississippi State's coming in, they're showing we can play. Can they though? Because now they have really tough games coming up ahead of them.
Sure.
So it was
and
a good
LSU, again, I just don't think LSU is quite as strong as they've been in the past. I think that's part of this picture, as well as Mississippi
I would
State. They've had great recruiting, so they're looking good right now.
Right, so maybe look out for Mississippi State later on.
Yep.
It was a good game for them.
All right, so Clemson, they went down to Florida State. Florida State was missing Jameis Winston.
Right.
All his own fault.
Absolutely.
I'm thankful it was good that he was kicked out the entire game. He should be kicked out of more than that.
I'm still confused how he ended up on the bus and at the game itself.
I think it
which
just
a lot of
shows
people
that,
are.
I don't want to use the word sociopath. Oh, yes, I do. I think it just shows that there's something wrong with the guy. And I think his Heisman, even talking about the Heisman, it's gone, like way down the road. He shouldn't even be there when they present the Heisman this time,
Absolutely.
except that he has to be since he won it last year.
Florida State still won the game without Jameis Winston,
They
but
did.
it was really close.
In
Just
overtime.
sloppy.
In overtime.
Just completely
Yeah.
sloppy on both teams' parts. Not impressive at all.
I think it would have been different if Winston was there. Because
Absolutely.
he is a good player.
Absolutely.
He would have made a difference in that game. I don't think it would have gone to overtime. And so Oregon at Washington State.
Now these,
good
to
game.
me, showed a lot of flaws on Oregon's part.
Okay.
But I don't see a lot of teams on Oregon's schedule that are going to be able to show these flaws.
Yeah.
Washington State was a surprise to me. They got a ton of sacks, which Stanford was not able to do. So I don't really know how that worked.
I don't know how that works either.
Did Stanford? I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't really figure it out. And then
It was
Washington
definitely a
State-
surprise coming from Washington State.
That's
And the thing I was impressed with is how they hung in there for 2 halves.
Right.
Normally what we see in Pac-12 and the teams that play against Oregon is they can't hang in there in the second half. Washington State did. They
I
did
would
a good
say
job.
Oregon's weakness is their secondary. Stanford cannot throw the ball like Washington State can.
Yes.
Washington State has a really good quarterback. He can chuck that ball up there, and that's what they did, keeping it close against Oregon.
I would definitely say that Mariota, as far as his Heisman, chances, they are up right now.
He shined in that game very
He's
impressive.
probably leading at the moment with that, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We also had Oklahoma played West Virginia, and they went to West Virginia. Trick it.
He had a good performance.
I think Oklahoma
Wise.
did a good job putting pressure on him, though.
They did, yes.
They made it tough.
It was tough overall for him. He's in a tough position. He's going against a better team than his team is. They have better players, more talented players
Yes.
than West Virginia does. So to win games like that, you just have to play really, like you have to play with more of a chip on your back. You got to go in there, get as many turnovers as you can, and they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
overall, Oklahoma's offense was able to
Trevor
beat West
Knight,
Virginia's
yes,
defense
they did. They
in
did a
that
good
game.
job.